My name is Mike, and I'm a design manager at Google. Growing up, I always had a computer in the house, and mostly we would play games and things like that, but we learned to be comfortable with a PC early on. When I was in high school, I was in a drafting class, and we used computers to draw. I spent a lot of extra time learning from the teacher outside of class hours, playing on the computer. So around that time, I moved from the Northeast. I was just outside of Philadelphia in South Jersey at the time, moved to the South in North Carolina. And there was a lot of culture shock for me and also sort of a disconnect of parents. There was a lot of autonomy or sort of freedom in a lot of ways. So I ended up dropping out of high school just for a number of those discomforts, and kind of wandered off on a different path for a while. I did a number of different things. I worked at car washes, I worked at restaurants, I did network cabling. Installed network cabling in offices and buildings. Eventually, I bought a computer a few years later and started tinkering again. So I started learning the tools to create a website for my dad's company. So now I had kind of a client. And I just learned. I just kept learning one thing after the other. I'd build it, design it, publish it. And then I started wanting to make it do more. And I wanted it to have some functionality. So I started learning simple scripting, and it just kind of continued to evolve from there. In the beginning, you're learning things so quickly, and there's just like this excitement that comes with everything that you figure out that works. And in one day, you could figure out how to do a layout and manipulate colors and fonts, and each one of those is like a little win. It's just like a little boost that keeps you going for the next thing. And eventually they get harder and harder, and soon enough you're building fairly complex systems. I definitely struggle with imposter syndrome even to this day, and I've been in my career for 25 years. Sometimes it's just struggling to figure something out and then just starting to fall into the pit of thinking I just can't do it, and then I just drive myself forward, just kind of a work ethic approach. Persistence was a lot of it, and also not being afraid to ask others or to look for other inputs and resources. You can't do and solve everything by yourself. Knowing when you're stuck and maybe why you're stuck, and thinking of creative ways to get unstuck, that really helps with imposter syndrome. And that's true today. The nature of my work isn't as technical as before. When I run up against something I haven't dealt with before, I don't feel like I'm the most informed person in the room. I listen or ask questions. I try to find other resources to become more informed.